and then goes to the podium in his press conference. We have no idea what he said in the locker room because nobody's leaked that footage yet, but hopefully they will.
They lost,
yeah,
right? Which is a horrible emotion. Nobody wants to lose.
After winning back-to-back championships. It is post round of 32. UConn just lost to the University of Florida in a very difficult game. And Dan Hurley does what Dan Hurley does, steps off of the court and says such a regrettable soundbite to the other team and goes, I hope that they don't f you the way they f us, like to another team that's getting ready to play a game. Like, oh my God, is that regrettable? And then goes to the podium in his press conference. We have no idea what he said in the locker room because nobody's leaked that footage yet, but hopefully they will. But then he goes to the podium and he has what we're calling a wallow moment where he goes, oh, I'm looking forward to a regular off season where I don't have to throw the first pitch or ring the bell. Well, I'm just trying to throw the sound bites out there, and we'll drop some of the clips into the show, I'm sure. But I want to give context. And so we're going to discuss, as a leader, what's the expected behavior in these kind of situations? What lessons can we learn from this? And we're gonna debate it and we're gonna talk about it. So
let's call it what it is.
Sure.
They lost.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a horrible emotion. Nobody wants to lose.
After winning back-to-back championships.
So the pressure was insane.
He won back-to-back championships. Right. I just want to preface that. Right. Most of those players did not play many meaningful minutes.
Which is part of the problem with the sport right now. But, having said that, do you want your CEO wallowing in the media, when you lose?
Well, let's just talk. Let's set the stage even further, right? Dan Hurley, as a human being, right, underachieved in his family, in a family of basketball legends.
Highly competitive.
His dad was an absolute competitive alpha freak that said, both of my boys must be the absolute best. Have no idea what that is like.
So,
and then his brother had a ton of success in basketball, and Dan underachieved. Not only did he underachieve, he actually quit. He had a mental breakdown and quit while he was at, where was he? Villanova? Where was he? I forget where he was. No, it was bigger than that. It was in the Northeast. Anyway, he quit, had to walk away, take a break, and then comes back and underachieves. And now, for the first time in his life, is having his moment in the Hurley family.
I want to preface my initial thoughts that I understand how hard it is to win 2 national titles. Well, I don't understand, first of all. I understand that I won none of them.
Right.
So I understand how hard it is.
You know damn well how hard it is
because I didn't win any of them, right? So let's start there. It's got to be exponentially harder to come off 2 years where you won with 2 different teams. Most of those players are gone and you have to do it again.
Same expectation.
And people are still calling you the 2-time defending champ. Yep. And that is wildly unfair to most of those kids that had to step into that.
The bar was high.
The bar was exponentially high. There's no different from an Alabama team that replaces players. But in basketball in the current state, you have a new roster almost every year. Kentucky is the first team ever to replace or to have 0 scorers.
Nobody, right?
0.
Nobody.
And they are in. So this is a new wave of game. Hold on. And so I understand that it is very difficult for those players and especially him to coach those players. Watching them this year from start to finish, this felt like a Dan Hurley year, not a UConn year. This felt like a lot of this is about me and I'm going for the 3-peat and I'm going to do my 60 minutes interview and I'm going to talk. No, I'm serious. Even from the beginning. I mean, this first soundbite of the year was him looking at a ref that he didn't know in a preseason tournament and said, I'm the best coach there ever is. And I don't even
on his 60 minutes interview, he said that was regrettable.
And he
wouldn't
goes,
have done that.
I don't even know who you are. I've been around this sport and you've never, whatever.
Yeah.
So from the start, there's a lot of I made it about me. And this felt like the last ego shot to him that I'm not going to three-peat. I wasn't able to get another team there. And for me,
he for sure is feeling that, right?
Here's my
that
problem.
is exactly what he's feeling.
But every leader would feel
I know.
If you're bought in,
I know.
Every leader.
So hear me out. So he walks off the court. He says, "Hope you don't get fucked," and he's yelling at the refs on the end of the game and is losing his mind like he normally does, and he's yelling whatever. His initial interview is not in the locker room. I think it's before he even goes in the locker room, and he is very raw. Very similar to how he was at the panel, but he's talking to whoever the sideline person is, and they do like the post game, whatever.
Right.
And he goes, I just love this team so much, and this hurts.
And he was crying. Right?
And he was crying. Yeah. And I had no problem with that one.
Yeah.
Until you got
Clark Kellogg said that was honor.
That was raw. Like we went out with honor because he knew they weren't as talented. Yeah. They played what might be the best team in the tournament,
and they played about as good as they could possibly play.
And then he goes to the press conference. And he talks about how, it'll be good to get back to a normal off season and this and that. And to me, it felt like, poor me, I had an impossible job. And I'm telling you why I didn't get it done.